my gown isn't contaminated.
And that's that 1-inch border around that we
Right.
considered, yeah.
There's also a towel inside the gown with the gown, so this could also remain sterile. We don't use them, and you're just gonna use a regular gown, so we're a little bit more lenient because you can't tell so much. So I'm just trying to see where I need to grab this gown so that I'm not touching it. So right now I'm just opening it up. And I'm using the sterile towel to open it up, because they're not easy to open up. And did you see how small the package was? So I'm going to just move it away. And what I'm trying to find is the neck opening, and it's not being really cooperative.
I
So
thought our sterile gowns last year had a big, like,
yeah,
bullseye that said
we'll
round
see in a
season.
second. So right now I have it by the inside of the neck and I'm shaking it open. And inside, now why it would be this far in, I'm not sure, but it does have, so I actually am holding it from the wrong place, so I should actually be on the inside.
Yeah, there's the
And
temperature
then
right here.
once I get, now I have to be careful with the arms. If I'm flipping the arms, they shouldn't be touching things, okay? So now I pull the gown on, okay? And then these are sterile, touch and sterile, right? So now I'm in a little bit more of a predicament. I have to slide it through. Now, in this case, you see this little tab? As long as I don't touch the gown, I can pull it away, and that opens that up. And I can either have somebody tie for me, because we don't want to be touching the back side of it, all right? And just being careful that that doesn't go in a place where it would be sterile or we need it to be sterile. And it gets really warm inside these gowns.
You notice thing too is,
So basically what you're not gonna have a gown that's this complicated. You're just gonna touch the inside of the gown where it's not sterile, shake it down, and then put it on. Okay, so now I have to be careful that I'm not touching anything else. And the big thing that usually happens with students is they lean forward and their belly portion touches the table, and they don't recognize it. So making sure that the gown is on snugly. Okay, so next I would put on my goggles and my mask. Is that the order that you took them?
No, yeah.
My mask. So,
Gown, mask, goggles, gloves, and done.
okay.
Yeah.
And so now I'm at the point of, I'm gonna say I have my eyewear and my mask on. Okay, so now I have to put my gloves on. So again, being careful. So it's in a container that's not sterile on the outside, but sterile on the inside. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. And this is not my favorite. This is not my calling in life. So I never have done this. I just know a lot about it because we did it every year.
Yeah.
So I just know how to do it. These gloves are pretty finicky. Now notice I'm touching the outside. Once I get to here, okay, we have to be really careful. So I don't want to lean forward onto the table. And I want to touch there's two little flaps, and you guys have different kinds. This is the easiest kind to put on. So what I'm doing is unfolding the unsterile, and I'm trying not to get it against the sleeves of my gown. All right, so now is where I have to be really careful. All right, so once you get it open, and I ask that everybody make sure you keep all your paper wrappings because you don't get a new set every time. When you go home, you're gonna have to practice with what we have. So right now, everything is sterile. So what I always do is I always put on my dominant hand first because it's the smarter hand and it'll be able to help the other hand easier. So that's my recommendation. I'm lifting the cuff of the glove. So what's gonna happen with this cuff once I get it on is it's gonna go to the inside, so it's not gonna touch anything, okay? So I'm gonna hold it here, I'm gonna see where my thumb is, and I'm gonna curl it in. Watch for the thumb, because the thumb is the hard part to do. And once I get here, I'm gonna pull it back as far as I can without touching the glove, so it sort of encases. This is the tricky hand. So now, instead of grabbing the outside, because that's the side that's not gonna be sterile, I have to reach underneath the cuff, okay, here. And now, instead of pulling down this way, I have to sort of slide in. So I'm again looking for my thumb. Ooh, so quiet. And then just snap it back. So now I'm sterile everywhere, except for a couple of little bumps that I noticed. Okay, so it will happen, you have to practice to get good at it, and I haven't done it probably in a year.
And
But,
sometimes you might not get the fingers right and everything.
Yeah,
If
so
you have
that-
both on, you can fix it and pull.
right, because now they're both sterile, right? Now they can touch each other, because they're okay. All right, so what I don't want to do is go crinkle up the paper or touch my patient, and also not turning my back to this sterile field. Right, so now where do we want to go from here?
So we theoretically already removed the dressing, we already assessed it, now we